On Radio 97 for a Thursday morning, it's time to talk all things law, Jess.
Favourite day of the week. Christina Priala is the principal of boutique law firm Priala Legal, and for more than 25 years she's practiced property and commercial law on the Gold Coast, presiding over settlements like the iconic Q1 Tower, as well as construction of other local towers, and not to forget the in-house counsel at Sunland Group for the second Palazzo Versace Hotel in Dubai. We're so lucky to have her legal expertise with us every Thursday to cover the latest hot topics. Good morning to you, Despina.
Good morning, Jess. Good morning, Wayne.
Good morning, Despina. Well, as we know, COVID-19 has affected all parts of society. It's affected our home lives, it's affected work, it's affected, everything we do. Today we're going to look in a little detail, especially at work and how things are going to change, obviously, with the vaccine coming.
That's right. It's a very hot topic, isn't it? So we've seen a lot of people talk about it. There's articles being published, and we really don't know the full effect of how this will impact in the work environment until the new laws are passed. And there will be new laws that will pass in relation to how the COVID vaccine can be used, must be used, whether it can be enforced in the workplace or not. So I thought we would talk about a little bit about that today and try and help employers who might be struggling out there at the moment with the concepts and what's being thrown out there, and people's ideas that may or may not be right. And I thought we would do that to try and help them perhaps implement some changes, or maybe not, or just at least review what they're currently doing for their employees in the workplace.
I guess we can only talk generally at the moment too, because as we've always said, unprecedented. We've never seen anything of the like.
Yes, that's right. Well, when the flu vaccine came out, there wasn't anything, or there weren't any changes. There wasn't a requirement per se that everybody get the flu vaccine. And now, because COVID has had such a huge impact on everyone around the world, this pandemic, they're now saying, oh, well, maybe it's going to be forced in the workplace now. And then, of course, human rights people are coming forward going, how can you do that? And, you know, people have got different views, culturally, religious or otherwise, about whether you have to be forced to take a vaccine, which is unprecedented, as you said. It's never occurred before.
Mm-hmm. Now, there are already policies in place in workplaces to cover all sorts of things we do every day. So is this just another policy that will be added?
I think that's how people need to look at it. So there's a lot of hype about it. And I think if we can just think a little bit logically first about how this may impact people in the workplace. So if we go back quite a few years with employer-employee situations, and I've seen many employment contracts that are very detailed, and we can go all the way back to even 2003. So 2003, for me anyway, was a bit of a pivotal change with the Spam Act, which is a Commonwealth Act that came out. And that act came about because of people who were marketing, sending material by email and electronic means, marketing material, and people were just receiving a plethora of rubbish, perhaps sometimes, saying, well, why did I receive this? Who authorised this person or party to send me this marketing material?
Clogging up inboxes, like just full of absolute rubbish, and trying to sort through and find what you actually want.
It's exactly right. So the Spam Act actually, I'm saying invented, but this is what caused everyone to now have, you'll see on the bottom of emails when you receive marketing material, subscribe or unsubscribe. So the Spam Act actually caused that to happen. Yes, so what we found from there, and I've seen a lot of employment contracts and finalised contracts where there is a specific policy on the Spam Act, and for employers and employees to comply with the Spam Act. So then we saw the increase of adding policies, procedures and codes of conduct to existing employment contracts over the years. So we're talking about the use of email. So as we know from, say, the 2000s, we've started to use email quite significantly in the workplace and for businesses. So then you have to have policies about, well, how do you manage the use of emails? Because you can't just let everybody go and do whatever they think is right in the workplace, and you're there representing a particular business. So it's email policies, it's management of emails, and how you use that. It's also monitoring of emails, so policies about how the employer is allowed to manage, to monitor your emails. Then we move on to, for example, the use of social media. The use of the internet in the workplace. We've seen policies and procedures about that, because sometimes as part of your job, you have to go on to Google and
It's
onto social
research.
media.
It is.
It's research,
It is.
isn't it?
I'm doing research, but
that's right.
yeah.
Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't.
Yeah.
Sometimes I know employers have said, okay, you've got 1 hour lunch if you're required to give them a 1 hour lunch by law. And in that 1 hour lunch, you can or cannot use social media. And how do you do that? And then there's other policies about, well, you can't distribute material about your business without consent from your employer. There's a whole spate of regulations about that. So we've seen over the years employers introducing policies about Spam Act, email, the use of that, the use of internet, the use of social media. How do we manage that as an employer? And of course, workplace health safety laws and bullying laws and harassment laws have also come into play over the years. So then as a result of that, we've seen policies and procedures and codes of conduct in employment contracts.
And you often have to sign off on them to
Yeah.
work at a particular organisation.
That's it.
That's exactly right. And of course, we've got in each state anti-discrimination acts. New South Wales, Queensland and other states have them. So therefore, we have to have policies, codes of conduct in the workplace, or we should, about how we have employees comply and employers comply with workplace health safety laws and what they should or should not do. And dependent on the work environment, it may differ from workplace to workplace. You can imagine, for example, being in an office could be quite different to being on a construction site,
True.
right?
Yeah.
So then you have to tailor your laws to suit each type of workplace. And I think you'll find that will flow on with COVID-19 and the vaccine, because it's all about providing a healthy, safe work environment. That's at the core of every employer. It's the primary role, or one of them. It's a duty for them to create that safe work environment. And each work environment, as to how safe it has to be, will differ about the type of work that the employees are there to do.
So you're saying if I'm an employee, I might have to, as part of the policy, get the vaccine to be able to work there?
Possibly, yes. Yes, because it will depend on exactly your type of job. So at the moment, there are already laws in place which people may not know about. If you're working in abattoirs, for example, and there's acts that have been passed. So if you're working with animals, you have to have certain vaccines already as part of your job. So that's fair, isn't it? I mean, that's a fair call, and that's to ensure the employees are safe in their work environment. So we could look at this potential enforcement of a vaccine in the workplace slogan, if you like, as a sort of extension from the existing laws that already exist to make sure employees are safe in their workplace.
And of course, that's the, as you alluded to earlier on, the employer has a duty of care for everyone that works for him or her.
That's right. And over the years, they've seen employers have found that difficult, haven't they? In some instances where you have different employees that have different views about different things, from their cultural backgrounds, their religious backgrounds, and we've seen litigation over the years, of course, with how that may play out in different scenarios about being required to do certain things by your employer and whether you wish to do that. And I think this particular example is no different. So I think people need to get away from, oh my goodness, the government's going to force us to have a vaccine, that's terrible, to taking a step back to realising, well, the government, I'm sure, I would like to think, is not going to do something that would be unreasonable, perhaps. It will be a situation where you would have to assess on a case-by-case basis in the workplace what would be fair and reasonable. And at the end of the day, as I alluded to last week about the plethora of litigation I think that will come out over the next few years, I think this is just another example where an employer might say, well, I think it's fair and reasonable because, and the employee says, well, actually, no, I disagree. And the employee takes the employer to the Fair Work Commissioner and says, well, why should I have the vaccine, or why should I be forced to do something else as a result? What do you think? And the Fair Work Commissioner will have the final say. So the Fair Work Commissioner will be very busy, I think, over the next 5 years.
A lot of people trying to defend their claim.
Yes.
Yep. And I think, as you say, there will be plenty of work for like up-and-coming lawyers that are coming through university right now. There's no problem. They're going to get plenty of work in
I think the employment area is definitely
Yeah.
one of those areas that will be on the rise. So certainly a good one to become specialised in perhaps. But I think we want to talk about a little bit more in detail, if we can, as to how we can help employers currently and what we could consider as fair and reasonable with their current workplace.
Okay, we'll talk about that after the break. This is Talking Law on Radio 97, and if you have a question to do with the law, what you need to do is pop it into an email and send it to us at breakfast@radio97.com.au, and we'll be happy to ask that question for you on your behalf.